Alright guys, so tonight I am tying a loaded partridge streamer in a size 2. The hook is going to be a Mustad R74. My thread is going to be UTC brown olive and 70 denier. And load that into our bobbin. What I like to do first is add some lead wire wrap to the fly. So I like to start off with 0.035. I'll cut about maybe 4.5, 5 inches. Do backwards wraps on it, leaving about a hook and a half behind the eye, just like so. Then I'll slide it down. I'll take my thread, start it right behind the eye, get a little thread dam right behind it, and snip off my tag. Then at this point, what I like to do is take a little bit of super glue. I just use the gel by Gorilla Glue. Put a tiny little bead right on top, and then push my lead wrap right into it. Get a few turns. You can run your thread all the way down to the back. At this point, this is optional. I like to do this because I like to add more center weight to my fly. I will then take 0.020 lead wrap, maybe about 6 inches or so. Start it again, but this time go in between the 0.035. This is going to add more weight without adding extra body to it. You're going to get a nice swimming profile. It's not going to head dive. It's going to stay nice and consistent in the water. So once I hit the end, I will cut it off, maybe leave an inch or so. Unwrap. Again, take another piece of glue. Put it right on top. Or on the bottom, I should say. Rewrap, and then once I get there, I will break it off. So then at this point, what I'm going to do is take my thread, secure both ends, and helicopter them off. It's also optional to run back up through the fly or through the lead wrap. Make sure everything is secure, nice and neat. So now that everything is strapped on, looking well, I will then take a little bit of brown marabou, just strung. Doesn't have to be the bugger, nothing special. I will take maybe about a hook shank in length, start it right at the end, and attach it with my line or my thread. So do about 5 or 6 lead or wraps. Take my scissors and remove it. Clean up the tag end just like so. Then what I do is I like to take a little bit of crystal flash. Take about 2 strands to start, snip them off completely. Line up the tips. Then I will put the one side on, give about 3 to 4 good wraps, make sure it's secure. Take my scissors and snip it off. Then flip the fly over and do the same on the other side. You don't need a lot of flash with this fly, you just need a little bit to entice the fish. So about 4 or 5 lead wrap or wire wraps right on that. Snip the end off, discard. At this point, I like to tidy up the fly just a little bit. You don't have to do this, it's just my OCD. Nugget Nectar for the guys who are in Pennsylvania. Just came out. It's the most delicious beer ever. So what I like to use is a dark saddle hen patch. You can buy these at any fly shop. They're just a few bucks. What I do is beforehand, I will prep all my feathers. So once I remove the real long feathers at the end here, I will strip out all the underfur, the non-pretty feathers, just like so. Then what I'll do is I will take the tip, pull the feathers down. So then while the front of the feather is looking at you, so it's back to you, front to me, I will strip the left side. That is how I tie in my feathers. And I do that to make sure I'm not trapping any underneath, and it gives a nice consistent looking fly. So then at this point, put the fly or the feather on, snip the tag in. What I'll do is just move my thread up just a little bit, give a 90-degree turn, and then run the feather around in a counterclockwise motion. Once I hit the bare stem, I will take my thread, do 3, snip off the tag. And at this point, I just like to push back a little bit, do maybe 2, 3, or 4 wraps underneath, move forward about 1/4 of an inch, and do it again. You're going to need about 8 or 9 of these feathers prepped ahead of time. If they are smaller, like some of the feathers can be, you're going to need between 12 and 15. So again, missed the thread wrap there. So again, secure the thread down, snip any tag ends, loose ends, and give nice touching wraps, slowly moving up the fly. So then at this point again, attach down the bare stem, snip it off, and again push back just a little bit. Give maybe 2 or 3 wraps, lining the feathers back. So at this point I'll do maybe 3 or 4 like this. This is number 3. Snip off my tag end. And again, run the feather up. Make sure it's constantly moving in a forward motion. Trap the stem end and snip it off. Okay. And just like last time, push it smooth. So then now I like to add just a tiny little bit of flash in the beginning of the body. So instead of using 2 strands, I will only use 1. So again, I will take it, line it up, maybe leave it about 1/2 inch short of the tail, do a couple wraps, snip off the tag. Again, go to the other side, about 1/2 inch from the end of the tail, couple wraps, and snip it off. You don't, like I said, you don't need a lot of flash with this fly, just a little bit. So now I have a nice little body started. I'm going to continue on with these feathers. And this is the most tedious part of doing this fly, is just adding the feather, getting 4 or 5 turns, having to knot off, and then restart. But it will be worth it at the end once you see the finished product. So again, wrap it up, hit the bare end, a couple wraps around, snip the tag end, push back. A couple wraps, and if there's anything like that, you can snip them off or you can push them under. My OCD is showing, so I like to keep it nice and neat. And I'm always pushing it back while I'm doing this. And what's nice about the saddle hen patches is they're not expensive. You can get one for maybe $6 or $7 online, your local fly shop, Bass Pro Shop, wherever it may be, you get fly supplies. And the movement in the water is incredible with this pattern. So again, snip 3, get the tag end off, push back, give it a little wrap. And it's okay if you can see any lead wrap throughout. It's not going to show in the water. You're going to notice that once the feathers do get wet, they'll push back and be uniform. So you won't have to worry about any silver showing through, which again also won't hurt anything. So again, repeat for the 6th or 7th time. Take your tag end, wrap up underneath. Knock your light out of the way, like always. Again, push back, give an extra wrap or 2. So I'll do 1 more feather. Slide this up out of the way. Again, I'm going to line my tips. Another fly hook. Move my thread up and start my wraps. And it's okay if it touches up behind, in front of the lead wrap. I'll show you what we do. So at that point, all the feathers are on. You can push it back through, give a nice little thread dam on the front. Stroke all the feathers back. Now what I like to do is add 2 strands of flash, just like we did with the tail. So take your crystal flash, align 2 threads or 2 strands, snip them off close. And instead of flash, you can always add barred legs. You can add rubber legs. You know, you don't have to add anything. You can have a all black. They have partridge feathers that you can use instead of saddle hens. So again, snip that off. Switch to the other side. Boop, boop, boop. Couple rotates. Spin the thread around. Okay. So now the base of the fly is done. What I'm going to do is push back a little bit, get a nice little head on the fly. So it's pretty uniform, nice body. And at this point, we're going to do a 5 or 6 turn whip finish. Seat the knot. I like to do a couple. I like to make durable flies. Okay. So now that that is on, take your scissors, go in, snip it close. So then now we're going to take some UV adhesive cure. I have both thick and thin. I prefer to use thin on the heads as it'll be more uniform without a large body. So I'll just take a couple dabs at this point. So it's okay if it gets in the eye of the hook. A little trick you can do is take a peacock curl and somehow feed it down through. Can't always get it in, you know. Tell my wife that. I'll go the other end. So what this will do is just clean out the eye. You know, just run it through, you know, give it a swirl around, clean it out. You can leave it in there while you UV cure it. And I lost my flashlight. There it is. Okay. So I'm just going to run UV cure over top. Make sure it's all set. Give it about 45 seconds. You can always take out your hurl. Not going to hurt anything. If you want to do another little topper, you're more than welcome to. But at this point, your fly is done. And if you ever add too much UV cure and it keeps going around, spin your fly around while you set it. That'll help keep it uniform all the way across. And there you go. There is the size 2 loaded partridge streamer.